Hello, everyone. You are welcome to today's lesson. And today's lesson, we are going to have a quick look at the solution to the assignment that was given in, I think, lesson 7 of polynomial function in our previous lesson. Okay, so as you can see or you have on your screens, this was the assignment. But remember, you are going to mark together. So I'll walk you through the solution and you will see marks allotted to your steps. Okay, you mark. So indirectly, what we are looking at will be marking scheme, sort of. Okay, so that we are doing this because I want you to be very familiar with the way we mark. And once you are familiar, you will know the way you present your solution, what you need to write and what you need not to. Okay, so without much ado, let's look at let me walk you through the solution. Okay, so the question is here. I've told you anytime you read question, make it a habit to underline the salient parts to protect your marks. So at this point, if we are reading the question, if g of x is equal to ax cubed plus 3s squared plus bs plus 15 is divided by x minus 1, it leaves a remainder of minus 12 and leaves a remainder minus 21 when divided by x minus 2. A, find the values of a and b. B, hence. So I've told you that anytime you read question and you see hence, you underline that. That is critical. It will give you a certain idea as to how to draw your conclusion. Okay. Then hence factorize g of s completely. Okay, so you can underline completely. However, I've told you whether factorization is qualified by completely or not. Okay, you need to factorize everything that is factorable, meaning your factorization must always be complete unless otherwise stated. Okay, so at this point, remember, after reading the question and aligning the salient part, the first thing that you write is solution. And I've said this times, okay, without number. Okay, so after that, here there is no question number, so you cannot number this. Okay, no major question number, let me put it that way, because you have minor question number. So no major question number. So the information that you have, every polynomial function question, if the polynomial is known, is given, that's the first thing that you extract. So you can see that you write given g of x is equal to, so you extract that. If you extract that, b half. Okay, so this one indirectly is bonus. Just copy and paste. Get your B marks. Okay, and I remember I've told you B marks are for formulas, anything that you extract directly, or any statement of fact, be it diagram, what have you. Okay, we give them B marks. Then after that, you can see that this is not the only information that we can extract. Remember, I advise you, if the question gives you more than one divisor, extract that, okay, in a table form, and that's exactly what I've done here. You have two divisors, x minus 1, then x minus 2. You extract, okay, you create a table. The first column will be headed divisor, and the second column, okay, will be remainder. So your first divisor here, x minus 1. Remember, in the question we are told it leaves a remainder of minus 2. Sorry, minus 12, forgive me. So minus 12. Then x minus 2 leaves a remainder of what? Minus 21. So your table is complete. If you're able to do that, B half. So just extraction, 1 mark. Okay, then you come to A. So all that after extraction, all that you are going to do first will be, okay, you finding the values of A and B. And remember I told you, usually, if you have two unknowns, okay, we need to give you two information to extract, okay, two equations, and you solve, okay, the equations simultaneously. So always for two unknowns, if you want to use the equation approach, simultaneous equation approach, you have to get two equations. Otherwise, you cannot use one equation to solve for what, or two unknowns. So take notes. I've repeated that, okay, just to emphasize. So here, from the information that we have here, we can comfortably say that but j of 1, okay, will give us what? Minus 12. Because if I want to find the remainder, given a divisor, the remainder will always be equal to, okay, a function fed with a certain value. And how do you get your value? We said we equate this one to 0 and you solve for x. But we are matured enough to do that mentally. So it will be x is equal to what? 1. So you substitute x in place, or sorry, 1 in place of x, then you move on. So j of 1 is equal to minus 12. And this is a statement of fact. You've stated the remainder theorem here, basically. So that's also b half. Okay, now your method will come in. J of 1 means wherever you see x in J of x, it becomes 1. So you carry out your substitution. And remember, this is equal to 12. So as you move along, you are dealing with an equation. Now you are dealing with equation. That's why you are supposed to start with implication. So we come to the penalties. Anyone who starts with equal to here, okay, there will be a penalty because you need to know when to use equal to sign and when to use the implication sign by now. Okay, so now let me walk you through. After that, after your substitution, deal with the powers first. So it will be a into 1, but we know that, okay, a special situation when you have 1 to any power, you end up getting exactly what you have there. So your second step, which will be you dealing with the powers first, which ordinarily would have been a into 1 plus 3 into 1 plus b plus 15. That one, because it's a special value. 1 and 0, you can always deal with it directly without going through that step. So if you write that step, it will not attract any marks. It is this step where you move the bracket that will attract, okay, marks. And that's what we have here. So at this point, you know we are going to label our equation or generate an equation. And usually, remember I said, your letters must be on one side and the constants on the other side. That's the way we usually write equations. So you keep your a plus b here, then this and this, if you add, you are going to get what? 18. So it will be minus 12, okay, minus 18, which will give us minus 30. So you call this equation 1. And remember, I've told you, avoid writing equation this way. Equation 1, short form. So just do this and label it 1. Either you circle the 1 or you put the 1 in brackets. Okay, only that usually we circle. And again, so we are through with using the first information to generate our first equation. So we come to the second information. Okay, so the second divisor. So again, J of 2 should be equal to minus 21. So the same way as we generated this equation, that's what we are going to do. Only that this time around, what we have here, the numbers that you have powers on, they are not special numbers 0 and 1. So we cannot skip this step. So deal with the powers first, okay, then now you come to, okay, where you remove the bracket, you end up getting this. After that, you know, collect all terms in A and B on one side and the other terms on the other side, which is what we have here. However, please take note, we cannot and we shouldn't label our equation here. Okay, we can, I should say, but don't label it here. Other than that, okay, you will put yourself in a little bit of trouble. Okay, you have more work to do in the near future. So I've told you, equation before you label, you should be devoid of fractions, devoid of brackets. Then if you can reduce, you reduce. This equation, devoid of fractions and brackets, all right, but okay, it is not in its reduced form. So we reduce by dividing through by 2, which gives us this, then we label. Okay, and at this point, we have generated our 2 equations. So we are going to solve them simultaneously. I've told you, listen to the equations. They usually talk. They will tell you the best method to use. So after listening to the equation carefully and attentively, okay, the equations told me that elimination will be best because the coefficients of B here 1, 1, so I can easily eliminate B. So in that case, by virtue of the fact that they have the same sign, the B that I want to eliminate, the coefficient plus 1, I have to subtract to do the elimination. So when I'm subtracting, remember I said, if you are subtracting, the B will go. That's your intention. So you'll be left with A. So A is what you are looking for. So subtraction, you know, is not commutative. So it's either you subtract equation 1 from 2 or 2 from 1. But be informed that use the value that you are looking for. This one, you end up getting A. The 2 equation, the one that contains the bigger value, that's the one that you are going to subtract the smaller value from. So it means instead of doing 1 minus 2, it will be better you do 2 minus 1 just because you want to avoid negative. Other than that, you can do the 1 minus 2, end up getting negative and divide by negative. So this will give us 4A. So I wrote equation 2 minus equation 1. That's how you read it. Okay, and don't write subtract equation 1 from, no, subtract equation, no. Don't write, just write this. Mathematically, it is precise. It establishes the same point. So 2 minus 1, I've told you this will always be too short to take a line. So continue. Bring a comma and come and carry out your subtraction there. So your subtraction is 4A minus A, and that will give you 3A. The B minus B, that will give you 0. That was your intention. So purpose achieved for the elimination of B. Then you come to minus 24 minus 30. So it will be minus 24 plus 30, which will give us positive 6. So you write it again before you divide. Don't forget this. Then after dividing, you end up getting A is equal to what? 2. So half. Okay, for that. You've seen the marks, corresponding marks there, so I don't even have to repeat that. Then again, you label it this one, equation 3, because you need A to find the value of B. So that's why you have to label it, so that you go and write, okay, equation 3 here into any of the other two equations, but preferably equation 1, okay, because it involves smaller values, sort of, in terms of the way. So you can use any of them, okay. But here, if you go and substitute, what do we do? So we are going to get 2, which is your A, plus B is equal to minus 30. So you now come and solve for B. So B will be equal to minus 30 minus 2. So that will give you minus 32. Okay, so at this point, you know your values for A and B, you draw your conclusion. Therefore, A is equal to 2 and B is equal to half. And B is equal to minus 32. The whole of this will give you 1 mark. In actual fact, it is half for this, half for that. But take note, someone can choose to draw the conclusion here. Okay, and draw the conclusion here. We decided to draw the conclusion together based on the advice, but I've told you, okay, it's not compulsory. You can draw your conclusion separately. But if you draw your conclusion separately, then this, if your therefore is here, then the mark here should be 1, A1. If your therefore is here, then your mark here should be A1, so that your conclusion is embedded. You won't lose any marks. Is the point well made?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So that will be it for question A. Now we are going to move on to question B. What are we supposed to do? We are supposed to factorize. And if you are supposed to factorize, we will need the polynomial. Now we know that the polynomial, once we know the values of A and B, we know the exact polynomial. You come and substitute. So this gives us the exact polynomial. Your substitution gives you B1. Then before you can factorize this, we know this is a cubic polynomial. So we have to do try and error to get one factor. And how do you get your values that you will use in doing your try and error? Remember, we said we will first of all concentrate on the factors of the constant D. So factors of 15, we know will give us plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 5. Okay, you write it. Okay, if any of those factors that you have there, try and error, okay, didn't satisfy, then you go and look at another set of factors because the coefficient is not 1. It will be 15, the factors of 15, each of them divided by 2. But before we come to that, let's verify whether these, okay, numbers that we have here for the factors for the try and error, any of them will satisfy. So you know at this point your calculator, that's what you use to do your try and error. And by try and error, we realize that, okay, x is equal to 3 will give us 0. So you go and substitute. So you write if x is equal to 3, g of 3, remember, take note, it's not f, will be equal to, you go and substitute. Wherever you see this, it will be 3. But you know before you started, beforehand, that the whole of this will give you 0. So you write equal to 0. So the whole of this is your M1. Okay, substitution and you simplifying to get the 0. The whole of that will give you your M1. It's just calculator work, sort of. Now, once you get this, this is a fact. If x is equal to 3 gives us a remainder of 0, that's g of 3 gives us a remainder of 0, then it means x minus 3 is a factor. So now you've been able to get one factor. After that, no try and error. You go and use your long division. So the factor, if you get it, B1. So let's go and look at the long division. So we set up our long division, which we are experts now. So I'm not going to work you through. By you getting your long division, the whole of that will give you M2. Okay, so if you perform your long division, this then becomes the quotient. Okay, so at that point, we are going to get, this implies that g of x will be equal to, remember, the divisor times the quotient plus the remainder, but the remainder is 0, so it will always give you the divisor times the quotient because the divisor is a factor. So at this point, you know you cannot end here. Your factorization is not complete. If you end here, your marks will also end here. Remember, even this one, you were emphatically told that your factorization must be completely done. Okay, so however, we realize that this is factorable. So remember the advice, don't use your calculator to factorize. Okay, you can use your calculator in a special situation where the leading coefficient is 1. That one, even I taught you how you can easily factorize without using your calculator once you know your factor pair. So here we have to go through the factorization. And if you go through the factorization and you know you do that as your rough work, so you always have room here for that rough work. So that will give you M1. Okay, for the factorization. Then now you import your results, okay, and come in and you draw your conclusion. Somebody can have the conclusion drawn here. that hence, remember the conclusion should be hence. Hence, okay, your g of x will factorize into this. Okay, and please, you can't conclude by saying, therefore, the factors of this, this, and this. You are not asked to find the factors, so you're asked to factorize. So your final answer must be in this form, not in the separate factors form. You listen the factors. Okay, so the whole of what we have there will be 23 marks plus bonus marks of 2. However, not everyone will get the 2 bonus marks. Okay, so this is how I'm going to distribute the bonus marks. Okay, if you get the total mass is 23. So if you get 20, okay, then 21, okay, you will get a bonus mark of 1. So it will be plus 1. If you get 22, then 23, you get all the bonus marks. So that will be plus 2. So in that case, the total marks will be what? 25. Okay, any questions? And please take note, if you didn't conclude with hence, okay, it will be minus half. If you concluded with therefore, it will be minus half. Take note. Let me introduce the penalties. And as well, if you don't factorize and straight away you write your factorized result here, you will lose the M1 here. So take notes. You won't get it. Okay. Then what else? I wanted to draw your attention to something. Again, I think I did. Yes, the use of the implication sign. If you use, okay, equal to here minus half. If you use equal to anywhere here, because now you are dealing with equations, so it will be minus half, not what, an expression. So take note of that. Okay. Any questions? Are we all fine, my professors? So now at least you know how we mark. So you capture your marked version and send it to me as well. And please take note. Okay, write your total marks on top of your first page, on top of before you submit your work. So if you had maybe 20 over 25, write 20 over 25. If you had 20, write 20 over 25. And it should be boldly written. And when you are capturing, it should be seen clearly. So boldly written, either you circle or you underline or you leave it like this. Don't write only your total score without the denominator. Please take note. I will go through and mark again. Maybe you are not professional, so you wouldn't know. Okay, apart from all that I've said, maybe there is something that you wrote that could be costly. And again, let me equally add this. Okay, the punishment will start from here. Here, unless, okay, anywhere here, let me start from here. Please take notes. Okay, anywhere here, A, okay, or before the A, you are not supposed to leave any lines. You leave any line not attended to when you have what? You are moving from a sub question to another sub question, but still here when you write what you have here, you are not moving from a sub question to another sub question. So they shouldn't have any spaces here. Take notes. You shouldn't have any spaces here. If you have a space there, minus half, because I've said that countless times. Okay, then the only time that you have a space is when you are writing your B, which you know that you are moving from a sub question to another sub question. So that's why you can see, okay, this here, indirectly there is a space here, a line. I'm not writing in lines. So please take note. And those of you who write only this, to take your line, only this will take your line. Today I'm going to pardon you. Next time I will not. Okay, because relative math now you are being asked to use the constraint paper, and most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know, maybe prompt me after the class and I will send you, okay, a paper of that nature. The question will be written and lines will be there for you to provide your solution. So you don't waste that space. Other than that, immediately you exhaust the space, there is no room for you to continue. So all your marks, okay, will be in your head. And I don't want you to go through that experience. You shouldn't even imagine it. All right, okay, so now, okay, this will be it for the solution to the assignment. On that note, if you don't have any questions, okay, thank you very much. God bless us all. Okay, so here, if this happens to be a rough work, please don't forget to strike it out. Okay, cancel it. And again, let me see. I think the other one I canceled. Yes, this was also a rough work and it must be canceled. Okay, so take note of that. Okay, so once again, okay, God bless us for a wonderful, okay, session.